Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Gauranga. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gaurango, Nitai Gaurango. Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari. Nitai Gauranga Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana, Jaya Sachinandana. Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Jaya Sachinandana Gaura Hari. Gaura, 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 Gaura. Gaura, 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 Gaura. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hari. Gaura, Gaura, Gaura Hari. Hari Haraya Namah, Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Haraya Namah, Krishna Yadavaya Namah. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Yadavaya Madhavaya Keshavaya Namah. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Gopal Govinda Ram Sri Madhusudana. Giridhari Gopinath Madan Mohan. Giridhari Gopinath Madana Mohan. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Rama, Hare. Hari Hari Before.
There's a song by Narottam Thakur Mahashaya. Vaishnav Vigyapti, Hari Hari Vipalaya begins. Hare Hare Pare Janama Goi Manusha Janama Maya Radha Krishna Bhajiya Radha Krishna Manusha Janama Maya Radha Krishna Bhajiya Radha Krishna Bhajiya Jaya Shri Bolo Kera Premadam Holy Nama
Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Karunita Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Ashtika Bhakta Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Assisting it, I go. This is Hare Hare.
Thank you very much for playing the mridanga so nicely. Just we'll put there and we'll play again later. Bande aham Shri Guru Shri Tapada Kamalam Shri Guru Vaishna Krishna Shri Rupam Shavarata Shri Ram Shadaitam Sarupam Paricham Krishna Chaitanya Sri Radha Krishna Badam Saharanamita Shri Shakam Krishna Panchakalpatu Vishnu Prabha Shandra Japa Pavana Vaishna Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhakti Vibhakti Vedanta Swami Stand Chana Shri Devi Gaura I think it's been a while since we had program here.
This is after lockdown.
First time. We haven't, long time. Yeah, Puri. I was remembering Puri when we were doing kirtan now. We were fortunate last week, Gorpanima, before Gorpanima, around that time, to go on some parikram in Mayapur. To several places that I'd never been before. And usually at that time, at Gorpanima, there is Navadeep Mandal Prikrama. Navadeep Mandal Prikrama is 9 islands. Navadeep, 9 islands. You see many of the different Gaudiya organizations, they do Navadeep Mandal Prikrama, Gorpanima time. You hear on the street, on the roads, in Sankirtan. Rest of the year is quiet on those roads, but just before Gorpanima, Navadeep Mandal Prikrama, actually begun by Shridhanta Saraswati Thakur, Navadeep Mandal Prikrama. So then there's Gaura Mandal Prikrama, which means the place is a further distance. So we were going each day, sometimes 1 hour, 1.5 hours. Sitaram Prabhu, Hare Krishna. So you at Mangalati, seeing you again now. Like Narad Muni, you just appear. You appear at So some special places that I would love to take you to. I would love to go with you to these places and do Sankirtan. Like for example, we went to the place Pulia, where Srila Haridas Thakur resided in a cave, and many fascinating leelas were performed. Like for example, there was the snake in the cave, and the Fulia Brahmins were coming, and they could smell the fumes from the poison and the snake, like the thick in the air, and they were choking up. And Haridas Thakur was sitting chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, nothing, caring nothing about it. And they were suggesting there's some snake here. And Haridas Thakur, he never even thought about it. He never even thought it. And then he said that, well, because your minds are disturbed. Your minds are disturbed. So I don't want to, I don't want to further to cause your mental disturbance. So then either I will leave or the snake will leave. And then at that moment, we're good. At that moment, the snake, the big snake just crawled past the Brahmins, and they're all, and it's crawled out of the cave. And he was performing his Lila there of chanting 3 lakhs. And so that place you can visit, the little cave, little hole is there. But anyway, the cave is not so deep now. You look, it's not a big cave anymore. It's just a token cave. But that was the place. So that's a special place. That's not far. It's Pulia. It's only a little further past Shantipur. And we went to the place where Vrindavan Das Thakur wrote Sri Chaitanya Bhagavat. That's a special place. That's a little further away, 1.5 hours. Keshav Bharati Goswami, Mahaprabhu Shanya's guru, his birthplace is just there. Vrindavan Das Thakur resided there. We went to the place where Narottam Thakur Mahashai. Tonight we sang the song, Hari Hari People. Narottam Thakur Mahashai, where he left, where he departed. And his departure was extraordinary. His body, the disciples were there. They took him to the Ganga. He was sitting in Ganga. He was taking bath. His body just turned into milk and just merged into the Ganga. So that place, you can visit that place. That's it, that place. And they scooped up some of the water. Fortunately, some of the disciples happened to have a pot handy at the time. If they didn't have the pot, then everything would have been lost. But they had the pot, and so they scooped up some of the Ganga Jal mixed with the dut, the milk of Narottam Thakur Mahashay's transcendental body, and they put that into Samadhi. So you can go to that place. That's a special place. And the Srila Thakur Bhaktivinod's birthplace. That's also, I've never been there. I've never been to these places, even though we're living in Maya for a long time. These places are close by. I've never been there. So this was a inspiration of the Mayapur tourism department. And they invited me to accompany them. And we were also with Bhakti Viganamanasana Simha Maharaj. We were going there and we were singing bhajan. And at Thakur Bhaktivinod's birthplace, we were singing bhajan, and very nice. But I was lamenting that you weren't there because the Mridanga players were... It was no Mridanga. It was better no Mridanga than having them tip-tap. The dutal beat they hadn't quite got. So we look forward to going there and performing kirtan, bhajan with the highly trained kirtaniyas. Yeah. So anyway, one place that particularly, I mean, all of those places affected me. All of those places, I'm just thinking about them all the time, and whenever I open my mouth, I'm talking about them. But also Shantipur, a place where Shantipur, we go past Shantipur. But when they requested me to go to Shantipur, so then I prepared something to speak, and then it all just came together for me. That I was speaking a little bit about it this morning in the class, in the temple, in the Bhagavatam class, but where Sachimata requested Nimai to stay in Jagannath Puri at Shantipur, that place. So everything was just thinking of the significance of these things. So I'll talk about that a little bit this evening. I'll talk about that. I can't get it out of my mind anyway, so we're going to talk about it. But it fits into this topic here of the, I don't know, did advertise that we were going to talk about the Brahman? Yeah, well, we'll talk about that more so tomorrow. We won't really get to that tonight, but a little bit before that, because there's an amazing purport that I read that in the Chaitanya Charitamrita about Sachimata, an amazing purport that just changed my whole understanding of such a special soul like Sachimata, and then the Nitya Siddhas. It changed my whole understanding of it, reading this purport. So I'll share this with you tonight. Won't take too long. So first we'll read a little bit from the Chaitanya Bhagavat, the Adikanda. Adikanda Kota Jai Amrit Shravan Jai Shishu Rupe Krida Kori Narayan, the Amrit Kota, the nectarian pastimes of Adikanda, where Shishu Rupe, in the form of a young child, Krida Kori Narayan, the Lord of Vaikuntha, he performs pastimes, extraordinary pastimes. E Mote Nana Vita Aishadja Dekai, Bhaula Bab Prakatyo Paschat Lukai. Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that particularly in his first 5 years of Mahaprabhu's pastimes, the first 5 years of Baula Lila, then Aishadja Dekai, he displays these opulence, mystic opulence, he displays in the childhood pastimes. Bhaula Bab Prakatyo Paschat Lukai. But in his youth, he covers these pastimes. He becomes a Vidyalila, a student. He's debating. Even he makes fun of the Vaishnavas. In the Vidyalila, he makes fun of the Vaishnavas. So he's not manifesting the opulence. But in the Bhaula Bab, he says Bhaula Bab Prakatyo, means in the childish manner. Means that for him it's just like play. He's not thinking, should I display my opulence as God or should I not? He's not thinking like that. He's in the child and he's just like playing games. So in order to arrange the fun, he brings his powers as God just for his pastimes. Like kids, they play with toys and this and that. So he plays his games and he uses his mystic opulences as God to enhance his childhood games, because he's not kind of thinking about the consequences. So Adikonda Kotha, Jay Amrit Shaban, the nectarian descriptions of the Adikonda, Jay Shishu Rupe, Kurida Kore Narayan, in the form of a young child. So Ekdin Daki Bole Mishra Purandor Amar Pushtak Ano Pap Bishambar. One day Jagannath Mishra, Amar Pushtak Ano, you bring my book. Bring my book. Jagannath Mishra is a Brahmin. So he teaches, he studies the books, the Brahmins. Pandit, Nimai Pandit, Mishra Puranda, Mishra, Jagannath Mishra. They're all Brahmin Pandits, all of the associates of Mahaprabhu in Navadip. They're all Brahmin Pandits. Advaita Thakur, every day, Advaita Bhavan. Advaita Bhavan, it's just near Jogpit. It's just near Srivashangan, Advaita Bhavan. Every day there was class. Every day there was class in his home. And the Vaishnavas would assemble, and every day they would discuss Gita Upadesh, they would discuss Bhagavad Bhakti, and worship the deity. It's the activities of the Brahmins. So he says, Nimai, bring the book. Srivas Thakur, the Brahmins. Bring the book, bring my book. Just like in Vrindavan, Nanda Dulal, Nanda Baba, he says, bring my chapal, bring my shoes. And Nanda Dulal, he carries Nanda Baba's shoes on the So the same, that Nanda Baba, we sang the song. Brajendra Nandana Jai Shachi Shuta Hoilo Shay. That same son of the king of Braj, he's become the son of Sachimata in Navadip. And therefore, Jagannath Mishra in Navadip, he is Nanda Baba. So same Lila is being performed. As he runs, Nimai is very enlivened, hearing his father's request. Being given a big responsibility. Bring my book. Yes, I can find the book. I can bring the book. He was enlivened, given this responsibility. You've got to give the kids some responsibility, for them to grow. You've got to give them some challenge, to exercise their inherent capacities. Don't keep on top of them all the time. Give them some room, creative thinking, growing. So you bring it. So Nimai is very enlivened. Yes, he ran. Yes, I can find the book. I can bring the book, Baba. Yes. So as he runs off, he brings the book. He gives it to Jagannath Mishra. Then Mishra bole kotai shuni nupore dhoni chaturidike chai dui brahmani nupore dhoni, the sound of ankle bells. This morning, before the class, one devotee sang the song of Preme dala dala shonara anga chodane nupore bhaje. If you worship the Gaura, if you look closely, Gaura, you'll see there's nupur. The bells, ankle bells. We were, His Grace Burijan Prabhu, he said to me one time, he said to that when I went to Gaudadesh, preaching in Gaudadesh, and I've been living near Gaudadesh 25 years, Gaudadesh, Bengal Bumi. I'm preaching there, and I went there for preaching. Bangladesh, went there for preaching. And so he said to me, so actually Burijan, you know Burijan Prabhu? Who knows Burijan Prabhu? Raise hands. Okay, some of you know Burijan, a very special devotee, the father of systematic Shastric study in ISKCON. The father of systematic Shastric. There's no courses in Shastra before Burijan Prabhu began Bhakti Shastri in Vrindavan in the mid-1980s. Father of systematic Shastric study. And because he would come to Melbourne. Actually, the president of the temple in Melbourne was his disciple. So he would invite Burijan Prabhu. So from the time I was a new devotee off the streets, recruited off the streets, from the darkest of ignorance, we were recruited by the devotees. Korma Prabhu and other Prabhupada disciples are preaching there. Recruited us. I was a student. That's another story. Maybe I'll tell it one time. but now I'm on the Burijan. So Burijan Prabhu, from the time I was a new devotee, I was getting his association, and he would encourage me. Said to me one time, he said, you should learn a sloka every week. Right? That's 50 slokas a year. 5 years, that's 250 slokas. There's a lot. There's a lot of learning. And when he would see me, he'd say, so what sloka you're learning, and what are you studying? And so he was very kind to me and encouraged me, and had a tremendous influence on what I am. He had a tremendous influence on me. So then he actually had been to Bangladesh and stayed in Dhaka to learn Bengali. Burijan Prabhu. He spent 3 months there learning Bengali. He had a desire to learn Bengali. So he learned some Bengali, but he didn't carry on after that. But reading and basic things, he learned a few things. So then when I went to Bangladesh to learn Bengali and stay there and preach, he was very happy with that. Yeah, I remember after some time, I hadn't seen him in a couple of years, and then I saw, when he saw me, he was so happy. He said, that I'd stayed there and learned Bengali. He was so happy with that. So anyway, he said to me one day, he said, because you served Gaura in Melbourne, deities that Prabhupada installed. You can see the videos, Prabhupada standing there. There was no shruk and these things for yagya, like now you have in the Western temples. They have nice paraphernalia for worship of the deities, nice paraphernalia. Oh, we import from India, nice paraphernalia. In those days, they didn't have that paraphernalia. They had like kitchen utensils. Yes. So there's a stainless steel bowl. Yeah, and Prabhupada is there, he's bathing Gaura, you can see, with a soup ladle. A big soup ladle, like the soup kitchen, the soup ladle, and he's pouring the yogurt on Gaura. So they're the deities, they're big deities. Before Panchatattva in Mayapur were installed, they were the largest deities of Gaura in ISKCON. Before Panchatattva, they were shipped out from Bengal, from Navadip, cast in Navadip, and shipped out to Melbourne. And even they're so big that the temple was shipped from Jaipur, marble temple, but the temple's a little, like the temple, the marble, like here you have beautiful wooden canopy, there's marble, but it's a little bit small. So Gaura hands, they kind of just poke out a little bit on the sides. But anyway, it makes them look even more explosively joyful. They're like exploding out of the temple. So at one time, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, he was there. I think it was Gaur Purnima time, and he said the most merciful deities, most merciful Gaura deities in ISKCON. Tamal Krishna Maharaj said they're very merciful. So I was doing Shankirtan. We would go, and each day brahmacharis living in the temple, we go on Shankirtan every day. Take prasadam in the morning, 9 o'clock. Then you go on Sankirtan, come back in the evening every day. So then my Sankirtan partner, he said to me, then I'd gotten second initiation. He said to me that, the Sankirtan devotees, it was just a tradition that they were allowed to do this puja for Gaura, the big deities, this bathing, not the dressing the deities, but the bathing of the deities after Mangalati. And so we would go in there, and the big Gaura, they're this big, huge, like same size, even bigger than we have Gaura here, bit bigger, but they're Ashtadhatu. They're not marble, they're Ashtadhatu, the different 8 metals, cast 8 metals. So after Mangalati, just during the Tulasi Puja, we'll go in there. You just spend 10 minutes in there, but you would take off the dress of Gaura, take off the dress, and everything. They have kopin. They have kopin, and then you put a towel around them, and then we would massage their bodies with a mixture of chandan and tilak and lemon juice. Massage their bodies, polish their bodies, and then they shine. And then we would take wet cloth, warm wet towel, and bathe them every day. In Mayapur, they do Panchatattva. The deities are so big that they do 1 deity a day. And so they go like that, like the 5 deities, they go like that. But they're big deities. And several men are required to do for 1 deity. And they use Ganga Mati. They use Ganga Mati. They use the mud from the Ganga for polishing the deities there. So and we were doing this in Melbourne. And that was very special. So why I'm thinking of that is because of the Nupur. Because they wear Nupur, and we would take the Nupur off. We would, and then again, put the next set of Nupur on in one. So that's why I'm thinking about that. But that was very special. That service was very special because you got so close to Nitai Gaur. You got so close to them. You massage them. And their lotus feet, their big reddish lotus feet. Their lotus feet, they're cast into the marble, and then around there is the reddish, and you massage them. We put their heads when no one looking. We put our heads down there on the lotus feet. And so those deities are special. Like Prabhupada is there with the ladle and the yogurt. He's installing them the milk, and then Prabhupada sat on the Vyasasana. You can hear this lecture, and Prabhupada said, the people of Melbourne have become fortunate because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared here. So sometimes I reflect on how I became a devotee, why I became a devotee. It's because Prabhupada went there and installed Gaura Nitai in Melbourne. And because Prabhupada said people of Melbourne have become fortunate because Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has appeared there. So anybody that comes into the merciful glance, and I was fortunate to be taken to the temple, and Gaura Nitai mercifully glanced upon me, and then whatever, I bowed down or something. That's it, finished. I mean, there's Prabhupada, he's requested Mahaprabhu to reside there and accept the seva. Mahaprabhu is there. There's no doubt about that. If he's anywhere in this world, he's there. Because Prabhupada requested him to go there. And so he will do that. He will fulfill the desire of his devotee. That's what he likes to do. We have relationship with the people. Your friend, what does a friend mean? You care for a friend, what does it mean? That you like to please them. A friend, that you like something, I give you something you like. That's a relationship, what it means. Oh, this will please you, then let me show the intimacy. You share something they like. So Krishna, he's a person, he's the most, Rasha Shekhar, he's the most equipped for reciprocating. So he wants to fulfill the desire of his pure devotee. And can you imagine how dear Prabhupada is to Krishna? Is there any comparison in this world to someone who has done so much for Krishna? How Prabhupada has fulfilled the desires of Krishna. That Krishna, how much worship of Krishna has increased in this planet because of Prabhupada. Is there any comparison? How much he has served Krishna because he's brought so many people to worshiping Krishna, Prabhupada. So when Prabhupada says, you come here and you stay here, Mahaprabhu, yeah, you want me to do that? Sure, I'll do that. So Mahaprabhu was there, and I was fortunate to serve Mahaprabhu. And we'd go on Sankirtan before we'd do this massage. And I remember because the Ashtadhatu, the deity, and you would massage, and you like when you clean silver and a little bit of tarnish, a little bit of blackish comes as it's cleaning. So that would come on our hands, from the deity's body, the mix of the sour agent and a little bit, and then that would be there. And then all day you could smell that on the street, standing there, distributing books, and then you smell that. Special, very special. And then sometimes people would ask me, how to distribute books? How to be effective on Sankirtan? That's the answer. That you just stand there and you just say, you pray to Lord Nityananda that this is your desire, this is your business. Mahaprabhu has ordered you. Shuno Nityananda, Shuno Haridas, Shavatra, Amaraga, Koraho Prakash. Oh, listen, Nityananda, listen, Haridas. Sabatra, Amaragai, Koraho Prakash. In every place you preach my teachings. Shabatra, Amaragai, Koraho Prakash. You reveal my teachings everywhere. Prati, Ghore Giye. Go to every door. Koro Epika. And you beg this. Bolo Krishna, Bhaja Krishna, Goro Krishna Shikha. Chant Hare Krishna, worship Krishna, follow Krishna's teachings. Mahaprabhu, he first began the preaching movement by ordering Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur to preach. So Nityananda Prabhu, he is the preacher, the foundational preacher. Mahaprabhu has ordered him to spread Krishna consciousness everywhere. So you go on book distribution. You are the servant of Nityananda. You are just serving Lord Nityananda because he is the preacher. Mahaprabhu has ordered him. So distributing books, it brings you close to Lord Nityananda because you are doing his, you are carrying his burden. And you want to distribute the books, then you pray to Lord Nityananda, that make me your instrument. Just you want this is your order. I'm your servant. I'm following your desire. So you empower me. You make it happen. You just remember Lord Nityananda. You pray to Lord Nityananda, and Lord Nityananda will reciprocate. So anyway, how I'm getting onto this was that. Was that Burijan Prabhu, he said to me after some years, he said to me, because you served Gaura, he said to me, because you served Gaura in Melbourne, Nityananda Prabhu has blessed you to be able to preach in Gaudadesh, where he was ordered to preach there by Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Agidilo Jao Gaudadesh Anargo Prem Bhakti Koraho Prakashe in Puri, when Nityananda Prabhu, along with the other Gaudahoite, the other devotees from Bengal, were coming. And then Mahaprabhu said to Nityananda, Nityananda Agyadilo, he ordered him, Jao, go to Deshe, you go to Bengal. Jao, go to Deshe. On Argol, without restriction, Prema Bhakti Koraho Prakashe, you distribute Prem Bhakti unlimitedly throughout Bengal. So Burijan Prabhu said to me that because you served Gaura in Melbourne, so then Nityananda Prabhu gave you that benediction to be able to preach in Gaudadesh. So we were thinking about the Nupur donning on Mahaprabhu's lotus seat, the Nupur. Premedala Dala Shonara Anga. Premedala Dala, in love of Godhead, his body, his Shonara Anga, his golden limbs are quivering. Premedala Dala. Premedala Dala, they're quivering. Dala Dala, in love of Godhead, they're quivering. Love of Godhead. Shonara Anga. Chorane Nupura Bhaje, and around his ankles, the ankle bells are chiming as he's going from village to village. Mukunda Madhava Yadhava Hari Bolina Borore Barana Bori, chanting and inducing people to chant the holy name. So the Nupur. So now Nimai as a child, he's not wearing Nupur. In fact, he's not wearing anything except a little string around his waist. He's that young. A little string around his waist. You'd like to see one. You'd like to see Nimai, Bhala, Rup, with a little baby, the Vaikuntanath. Would you like to see that? So Vrindavan Thakur, he is revealing to us. And we went to the place where Vrindavan Thakur wrote Chaitanya Bhagavat. And we saw his handwriting. We saw his handwriting of the pages of Chaitanya Bhagavat. I mean, it's worth going. It's worth journeying days and days, weeks and weeks, just to see such a thing. And there was no hesitancy. It's not like, oh, we'll change this word. No. Get some white out. I'll change this thing. It was just perfect, just line after line, just line after line, just composed this one after another. These beautiful verses. Amrit kota jai shishu rupe kida kore naya. So he's not wearing Nupur. And then they're hearing the sound of the ankle bells. They're hearing the sweet sound. The ki odbut. Duijon mone gon. What's that there? Mishabali kotai shuni Nupore dhoni. Kotai shuni Nupore dhoni. The sweet sound. Where is this sweet sound of the ankle bells coming from? They're hearing as he's bringing the book, ching, 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 ching. And then where is this sound? He's not wearing ankle bells. Where is this sound coming from? But he can't help himself. It's just spilling over. His Ashabja Prakash, his godliness, it's just spilling over. He's an innocent child. He's not even thinking what will be the consequences. They'll think I'm God, this and that, everything will be, it'll spoil it. No, he just can't help himself. Nupare Doni, the sound of Nupa. And they're looking. Chatu Dike Chai Dui Brahman, Brahmani, Chatu Dike, they're looking. Where's the sound coming from? Where's the sound coming from? Where's the sweet? Our child is not wearing ankle bells. Where has the sweet sound come from? Ki Adbhut, Ki Adbhut, Ki Adbhut, so amazing. Ki Adbhut. We have the Adbhut Mandir, but there's the Adbhut Lila. Ki Adbhut, so amazing. Ki Adbhut, Dui John, Mone, Gone. In their minds, they're thinking, this is amazing. Where's this sound coming from? Would you not be amazed? There's so many amazing Leelas. We will go through them. Like he requests to eat the bhoga on a Kodasi day. How did he even know it was a Kodasi? And then they bring him, the two Brahmins, Jagadish, Haranya Pandit, they hear. How did he know we were cooking special offerings? Lord Narayan must be speaking through this child. Let's offer the bhoga to him. Offer the bhoga, and they did. You imagine your child says, bring me the bhoga, and everyone said, no, bring me the bhoga. They're cooking special. How he knew they were cooking special bhoga? Bring me the bhoga. And then they offered him the bhoga. The bhoga. Offered him the bhoga. Ki Adbhut. They couldn't speak. They couldn't even, they were astonished by this. And then another extraordinary thing that Shab Grihe, Dekhe, Aparupa Padda Chinna, Vaja Braja, Ankusha, Patakati, Binna Binna. Around the room, the clay, the floor on the cottage is clay, mati. Cottage. And so they could see the imprints, the foot imprints. And in those foot imprints were the unique symbols, which only are found on the lotus imprint of the Lord's lotus feet. The Vraja means a thunderbolt. Braja is the goad which is used for controlling elephants. Ankusha is a banner. Patakadi, the flag, binna bit of these different signs. You imagine on the feet that you have these signs. On Lord Krishna's lotus feet, and on Sri Radhika's lotus feet, there's different fish and different. Imagine on your lotus on the feet, there's signs, so we can check. So if you're thinking anyone's a avatar, and take a close look at the lotus feet and see if you see these signs. Their hairs stood on end when they saw those marks on the floor. Their hairs stood on end, and tears flowed from their eyes. And Pada Padna Deki, Duha Kori Namaskar. They paid obeisances to the marks on the floor. Duha Namaskar. Duha Bole Nishtaraimu Janma Nahi Ar. Duha Bole Nishtaraimu Janma Nahi Ar. We will be delivered. We will not take birth again. This is the verse I wanted to get to. That he's Nanda Baba. He's an eternal associate of the Lord. And Nitta Shiddha, Gaurange Rashangi Gone, Nitta Shiddha Korimane. He's not a conditioned soul. They're in this world not like we are. We are in this world because we're chasing after the cheap thrills of sense pleasure. That's why we take birth again and again and get a body. These cheap sense pleasure thrills. There's so much attached to them. We take birth. And we have to go through so much trouble just for that. Bahuduka, Tripyanti Neha, Bahuduka Bajai. Tripyanti Neha. You don't get any real lasting happiness. Bahuduka Bajai. And you have to accept volumes of trouble, having accepted the material body. And why? Because we're just attached to those little flickering pleasures that the sense gratification gives us. So Nitta Shiddha, the eternally liberators, they don't appear in this world for that reason. They only appear in this world to assist the Lord in the pastimes. They're not conditioned soul like us. But he's Nanda Baba. Wherever Krishna appears, Nanda Baba, he appears as his father. But he's thinking that he's a conditioned soul. He's not thinking, I'm Nanda Baba. You're Jashodama. This Sachi, this our child. He's Krishna. He's not thinking that. But he is. It's amazing that he forgets. He forgets. He's not thinking. He's thinking. He's looking at the foot imprints, and he says that, we won't take birth again. And he's amazed. He's not. He'll say, "Oh, that's the child. It's Sachinandan. He's God. Don't you know? I'm Nanda Baba. You're Jasoda." It's just him. But he is. I mean, how would he forget that? How would he forget that? So then he says, Mishra Bole, Shuno, Vishwarupe Janani. Vishwarupe, a mother of Vishwarup. Vishwarupe Janani. This is Gaudiya culture. He doesn't call it by a name. He says Vishwarup Janani, mother of Vishwarup, because everything is about relationships. Everything about relationships. Mother of Vishwarup. You understand? Mother of Vishwarupe Janani. Still in Bengal, they will say this, they will call the lady about that son's name, Gopal and Ma. I'm saying, because it adds such a element of of relationship. Is Gopal and Ma. Gopal Bhattarma Eshechen. Gopal Bhattarma Eshechen. Ashche Mone, Dekchen, Gopal Ma Eshechen. And you won't say the name of Gopal Bhattarma because it's so sweet, it's so much sweeter. It's so much sweeter. It's all about relationships. Vishwarup Janani. Grita Paramananda Randaha Apani. You make a special offering. It must be the deity who's coming down off the altar at night and walking around the house. So tomorrow we'll make a special puja. Grita Paramanna. Rice cooked in ghee, and sweet rice cooked in ghee. Milk for And so then the next day, I shall bathe the Damodar Shila with the Panchagabba. Panchagabba, the 5 items from the cow, Dud, the Dodhi, and everything, cow ghee, urine, cow dung. This is Panchagabba. Every day in Mayapur, there's Panchagabba, Abhishek of Lord Nrsingadev, Shalagram Shilas. 108 or more Shalagram Shilas at the lotus feet of Lord Nrsingadev in Mayapur. Shalagram Shilas. Every day there's Panchagabya Abhishek. That's a temple. Even you can do it home. Those of you who want to follow the path of Archana, Brahman, then you live in the holy Dham and you do Panchagabya Abhishek every day of the Shalagram Shila. That's possible. You can arrange. That's what you should arrange. If you're intelligent, rather than running around here and there trying to, get ahead of the material energy, just worship the Lord Shalagram Shila every day with Panchagabya, Dud, milk, ghee. If you're intelligent, because everything will be perfect in your life just by that. You worship the Shalagram Shila every day with milk. Even you can probably arrange in Mumbai also. Why not? If you're intelligent. So we'll make a special. This is a special. We'll make a special puja on a special. They're happy. They said the Lord has blessed them. So we'll make a special puja, a special abhishek. What a life! Shalagram puja kore prabhu mone hashe. So the two of them very happily worshipping, Jagannath Mishra and Sachimata happily worshipping Shalagram Shila. And Sachinandan and Vishwarup, they're sitting and they're smiling and they're watching. So how this connects to, I'll finish this story, because how it connects to Shantipur I'll share with you. Okay, now in Shantipur, Mahaprabhu, he was taken there by Nityananda Prabhu. He took sannyas suddenly. Mahaprabhu took sannyas. Shunu shunu ore bai Prabhu Rashannash Jai Kwata Shunile Hoy Sharva Bandanash. Hearing about Mahaprabhu taking sannyas can disentangle you from all material bondage. So shunu shunu ore bai Prabhu Rashannash. Here's something about the sannyas of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. You can get liberated from all your entanglement. So he took sannyas just quickly, just on the spot. He decided to take sannyas for the preaching. People, they'll fall at my feet. They see me, they'll touch my feet. I can deliver the whole world just by taking sannyas. So he took sannyas, but it was too much for the Navadip Bashis. How is it possible? That's after, that's Chaitanya Bhagavat, Adi Konda is 17 chapters. Madhya Konda is 28 chapters. So 17 and 28, who's good with maths? I'm not. Can you add it up for me? Yeah, so that's 45 chapters of Chaitanya Bhagavat. There's so much happens. And then Mahaprabhu takes sannyas. Can you imagine? I mean, what a disaster. So much. They're not expecting that Dvijamani will leave. They're never thinking he's going to leave. He's with us everywhere. Every night we'll be doing Sankirtan. Advaita Thakur, Shivash Thakur, Narad Muni, Mahavishnu, Shada Shiv, they're all there. Sri Radhika, Gadadha Pandit, Mahaprabhu. Is there anything beyond that? The Sankirtan, Mahaprabhu, Sankirtan pastimes in Navadip, is there anything higher? They're thinking he's never going to leave. Actually, the Sankirtan in Navadip, it is still going on. Nitya Lila, Radha Krishna Nitya Lila is still going on. But we cannot see. But it's possible that we can see. If you, it's possible. Why not? It's happening. Gaurangir gunete jure nita lila taresh pure. Gaurangir gunete jure. The qualities of Gauranga. Gaurangir gunete jure. Those who are impressed, those who are gunete jure, those who cry when they consider the qualities of Gauranga. Nitya lila taresh pure. Nitya lila taresh pure. They can see the eternal pastimes. So they're going on. They're going on those pastimes. In Navadip, they're going on. But anyway, Mahaprabhu took sannyas, but it was too much for Lord Nityananda. No, you cannot just go like that. So he tricked him, and he said, Mahaprabhu wanted to go to Vrindavan. And Nityananda showed him the bank of the Ganga. This is Jamuna, the Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu Jamuna. He was in so much ecstasy, he was so much overwhelmed with love of Godhead, Mahaprabhu, having just taken sannyas. These ceremonies, they have an effect on us. I mean, not that I know anything about that, but we hear such things. The head shaving, the ceremony, the mantra, it will affect you. Just like those of you who have taken initiation, it affects you. It affects you. The purification of going through the shanskar. That's why we perform shanskars. Recently, Nitai Mata, of your local boy, he's a great pandit in Mayapur now. Well, a great pandit. Many, many disciples. You can see on YouTube. So we were invited for his daughter, Radhika, and we did the ceremony, a yagya, a fire yagya and everything, Namkaran ceremony. Radhika, little child, Navadip Bashi, Navadip, born in Navadip. Such a fortunate soul. Already to be born in such an elevated, the son of a Brahmin Pandit, or the daughter of a Brahmin, he has a son too, the daughter of a Brahmin Pandit in Mayapur, is there already born at the topmost position. Already. What she has done in previous lives to be able to. So we went and did the ceremonies. So these ceremonies have an effect on everybody that's there, but just not just for the child, the parents, everyone. Dashabida Shanskar. So the initiation, the mantra, the yagya, everything, it has an effect on you. It purifies you. Sannyas is very purifying. Sannyas. You see the devotee take sannyas, they change person. My friend, Benudari Das Brahmachari. Benudari Das Brahmachari, Mayapur. Sankirtan. He took sannyas. Venudari Das Brahmachari. I saw he took sannyas. He took sannyas on His Holiness Takataka Samya Maharaj Vyasa Puja a year or 2 years ago. Yeah, he was taking sannyas. He's trained by Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj. You know Bhakti Purushottam Swami Maharaj? We met him in Puri, Puri Bashi. He brought him before his guru, Jatpataka. You take this boy, you give him sannyas. He was there, the three of them gave him sannyas. Venudari Das Brahmachari. Then he became Bhakti Vijay Bhagavat Swami. I saw with my eyes how he became empowered. I saw with my own eyes how his preaching increased 10 times. Having taken sannyas, his preaching increased, he's empowered. So the sannyas ceremony, it's very powerful to empower the preacher. So much empowerment is there through the parampara and the sannyas. And so Mahaprabhu took sannyas. So he was overwhelmed. Already he was, Mahaprabhu, already he's in complete love of God. It takes, so it even becomes deeper. So he's wandering around Radha Desh. He didn't know if it's day or night. Can you imagine? We like the kirtan, we sit, but at least you know it's 8 o'clock at night. You don't know if it's day or night. That's pretty absorbed in kirtan. He didn't know where he was. And Nityananda Prabhu points and says, this is Vrindavan, that's the Jamuna, that's the Ganga. He knows the Ganga. Because every day he's taking bath. He's thinking he's not going to recognize as Ganga. And in Shantipur, right, it's the same Ganga as in Mayapur. It looks the same. Nityananda Prabhu says Jamuna. Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu, Jamuna. It's complete madness, jumps in. So Nityananda Prabhu brings him to Shantipur. And then they're doing Sankirtan. Could you imagine? All the Navadip devotees, all of them, it mentions that all of the old people, all of the children, all of the ladies, everybody from Navadip went to Shantipur, Advaita Thakur's house, everybody. And Advaita Thakur was hosting everybody. Arrangements, prasadam, accommodation. Amazing. For 10 days. That is Grihashta. Anyone, whole town comes and you host them and feed them for 10 days. And at night there's Sankirtan. And during the day, the discussion, Advaita Thakur, Mahaprabhu, Shivash Thakur. Could you imagine what those kirtans would have been like? The devotees know that they don't know that he's going to Puri at this stage. They don't know where he's going. They're thinking maybe we won't see him again. This Dvijamani, Navadip Chandra, the life of the devotees. We don't know where he'll go. You imagine how they would have been absorbed in those kirtans? So it mentions that Mahaprabhu's his kirtan, that Kirtan korite prabhu sharvo babu doi. Stamba kampa pulakashru gadgada pralai. Kirtan korite prabhu sharvo babu doi. All of the symptoms of love of Godhead, udai, erupted. Sharva bhav udai, erupted in his body during those kirtans. Stamba, he became stunned like a pillar. Stamba, as if standing there. Stamba, kampa means that quivering, shivering, horripilation. Pulakasru, his hair is standing on end. Hairs on his body standing on end, like a jackfruit. Like a jackfruit. These are the symptoms. These are in the kirtan. When the kirtan starts, is this Gadgada, his voice is choking up, and pralai. Pralai means devastation. I'm not sure what that looks like, but devastation. And he would crash to the ground. He would crash to the ground. He would spin in the air and in the kirtan and crash to the ground. So seeing this, Sachimata, she cried, alas, seeing this, Sachimata, crash. Then my crashing to the ground. He's not carrying anything. You imagine the huge figure, he's dancing, twirling in the air and then crash to the ground. Sachimata, she can't, it's just too much for her. So then seeing this, she prays to Lord Narayan. She prays to Lord Narayan. Ballakale, hoito, tomare, Jacoilo Shebon, Tar Apol, More Deho Narayan. Bhallo Kal Hoite, from childhood, Bhallo Kal Hoite, Tomar Jai Koilu Sheban, that service I've done to you from childhood, that service I've done to you. You can imagine Sachimata bringing the Ganga Jal, arranging the flowers, making mala, offering lamb to Lord Narayan. She's daughter of Nilambar Chakrabarti. When you come to Mayapur, we can go to Belpukur, where the home of Nilambar Chakrabarti. He's a great Vaishnav scholar, astrologer, and he did the astrological reading at the time of Nimai's birth, Nilambar Chakrabarti. So she's the daughter of a great Vaishnav scholar, Brahmin. You could imagine what her childhood would have been like, the puja every day, Ganga Jal, worshipping the Lord. That's Sevan, that service I've done to you from my childhood. You give me the fruit of that. You give me the fruit of that. She's asking for a benediction as a result of all of the seva I have done for you since my childhood. And what does she say? Jai Kale, Nimai, Pore, Dharani Upore, Jai Kale. That time, Nimai, Pore, Dharani Upore. He falls down on the earth. Dharani Upore. Beta Jenonahi Lage Nimai Sharire. Beta Jenonahi Lage Nimai Sharire. He will not feel any pain. I'm asking you a benediction as a result of all of the seva I have done for you since my childhood. I want that you give me the result of that I request a benediction. When he crashes to the ground, he never feels any pain. I mean, that in itself is such a fascinating concept, that you can offer the results of your worship of the Lord for a specific benediction. And in this case, that my child doesn't feel pain when he crashes on the ground. Prabhupada doesn't elaborate on that, but she's doing it. She's doing it. It fascinates me. Sometimes we hear devotees that they chant extra rounds and make an offering for Guru's health and different things. So it seems that it works. But still, you still get the fruit. You still get. Punasha punam adaya punameva avashishyate. Because even you take it away, it's all still there because you still did it. It's not that you lose it. How could it be you lose it? Because, so it's very, very fascinating. You can do that. Anyway, you have to ask some advanced, realized Vaishnavas about this topic. I'm just, I have no idea, but I'm just sharing with you what the thoughts when I'm hearing these subjects. But this is what's interesting here. In the purport, Prabhupada says that Narottam Das Thakur sings Gaurangir Shangi Gane Nita Siddha Kori Mane. The associates, they're all eternal associates of Gauranga, they're all eternally liberated. His family members, his friends, and other associates are all Nitya Siddha. Nitya Siddha never forgets the service of the Lord. They're always engaged, even from childhood, in worshipping the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So then I kind of got some idea of what that is. That how is it that the Nitya Siddha, how is it that they forget? Well, they forget some things. But it's not that they forget the service of the Lord, because from childhood she's engaged in serving the Lord. But somehow the Lord covers over the remembrance of who their actual identity is. But they're Nitya Siddha, they're never not serving the Lord. But this illusory internal potency, they just forget that they are that, so that they can play the Lila. Jagannath Mishra, he thinks he's the father. In the dream, one Brahmin appears and says, after Jagannath Mishra chastised Nimai. One day he chastised him. Nimai was playing, Jagannath Mishra chastised him. And that night a Brahmin appeared and said, you cannot chastise this. He's not chastisable. He's beyond chastisement. He is quite angry, the Brahmin in the dream. You cannot chastise. He's the Supreme Lord. You cannot instruct him. You cannot advise him. You cannot chastise him. He's the Supreme Lord. And in the dream, Mishra Kohe, Deb Shidhi Munikeni Noi, Jai She Bodohok Matra Ama Tanoi. He answers in the dream, Dev Shiti Muni Kenino, yes, he may be a Shiti, he may be a perfect being, Muni, he may be a great philosopher, a great sage. Dev, he may be a demigod, he may be the Supreme Lord. Jai Shayboro Hok. No matter how important and how big he is, Matra Amar Tanoi. But as far as I'm concerned, he's my son. It's my responsibility to correct him and give him education. Kevala Shuddha Prem Aisha Jana Jane Aisha Jadekla Nija Shambanda Shemane. This is Braja Prem, that even the opulence of the Supreme Lord is presented. But no, he's my son. They cannot, they're completely convinced. Even more so than we are in our illusory, I'm the father, as my wife and my son. Well, that's a pretty deep conviction. But on the spiritual level, it's even deeper. Because it's eternal. He's eternally playing that Jagannath Mishra. He's eternally Nanda Baba. This is something that's going to expand your brains now. He's eternally Nanda Baba, and he's eternally Jagannath Mishra. If you can just understand that, you'll go back to Godhead. But he has to forget so that, otherwise how can there be the Lila, the Nupurvani? Of course the Nupurvani, Nanda Baba, and this all spoils the Lila. Then they wouldn't do the special yagya and everything. So for the Lila, they forget and they're completely absorbed. And Jasoda Ma, when she holds Krishna on her lap to look and see, he ate clay, and she sees the universal form. Momentarily, she gets all philosophical. And she even says, why I'm wasting my life in household, I'm wasting my time in householder life. I should be searching after self-realization. And then she says, you foolish woman, you have no time for searching after self-realization. You've got to cook milk and feed your child. So this is the Lord's special that he, and in this way the Lila is performed. This is Vrindavan. This is Navadip. Any questions? Bhurijan Prabhu once told me that you ask for questions and then you just count silently from 1 to 10. And if no one raises their hand, then that's it. So there's a little tip I shared with you regarding questions. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Jai Nitai Gauranga, Jaya Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda, Jai Satchidananda, Jai Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Krishna, Hare Rama, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Sisi Nidai Gaura Krishna. Thank you very much.
Krishna, it was a very good fortune that you could hear from Atul Krishna Prabhu today. And let us express our gratitude to Prabhuji by once very loudly and enthusiastically chanting the Hare Krishna mantra for him.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Ram, Hare.
Prabhuji will continue tomorrow at 11:30 a.m. in this hall. So all of you are requested to come and please be on time. Those who are online, you can make it tomorrow being Sunday. Please do come. Hare Krishna. Hare Atul Krishna.